Stefan, how are you?
I am great, Caleb. How are you doing?
I'm good. Since that was like the same start of like the old podcast that we used to do.
Right.
It was like identical. Since this is October, I'm just going to start this one off with what are your thoughts on Halloween?
My thoughts on Halloween, in my opinion, at least how I was taught from mainly my dad, was that Halloween was more of the devil's holiday because it's you're dressing up like, granted, like Captain America is not like celebrating the devil's holiday, but like if you're dressing up and doing like demonic things, like there's some people that dress up as like a demon or Satan, or they're trying to like some people go as Jesus and they're mocking him and stuff like that in a way because like they're getting drunk or they're doing whatever, and it's more of a mockery at that point towards God, and that's why they call it like the devil's holiday. And then it's also too like there's some stuff that actually happens on Halloween too that are very, you could call it satanic at that point, but it's like really dark. Like some people, like what my dad taught us, like not as kids at this point, but when we got older, is that he said like there was a girl he knew, I think it was my sister, who I don't consider my sister. She was a witch and into the whole Satanism thing.
Yeah.
And I don't keep up on her because I don't consider her. She's just a stranger to me at this point. Like she's someone that I know. But she, not her personally, but she knew people that would do like sacrificial crap on, like whether it's like a lamb where they do like the sacred sword or knife thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so that's where it's like it takes Halloween to a whole nother level. Like, and the media and society in general, and I hate using the word society, but they use it in a like, oh, it's fun for the kids. They're going to get candy. They're going to dress up as Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever they want to dress up as and trick or treat. But yet there's also people too that put like razors in the candy and all that other crap. So they have their own agenda. So it's not a holiday really to be celebrating in the Christian viewpoint.
Yeah, I think for me it's more of like a celebration of fall.
Yeah.
That's the way like I think of it. But yeah, dressing up, as long as it's not something bad. What is that buzzing noise?
Yeah, now it's gone.
I don't hear it. Let me try turning my mic back up again.
Yeah, I don't hear it anymore.
Okay, yeah, I think it was because it was like by the power cord.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll probably just edit that out.
Yeah, that's fine.
So back to celebrating Halloween. Yeah, I think like for the most part, Halloween is probably not the best thing to celebrate as a Christian.
Right.
Like I don't think that it's bad. Well, here's the thing is jack-o'-lanterns are supposed to keep bad spirits away, which
I didn't know.
Right. It's kind of like a dream catcher. Like how
Native
dream
Americans,
catcher.
like,
Yeah. You know how, it's not a Native
yeah.
American thing, but dream catchers are, but jack-o'-lanterns are not. But you know how like with a dream catcher, you would use it so that it catches bad dreams at night?
Yeah.
Now that sounds good on paper, but obviously it is still an evil practice because we're not supposed to put our faith
in a pumpkin.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or anything other than Jesus. So it's like, should we still carve pumpkins, even if it's just for fun? Like if we're not thinking
like, in the presence of like, again, what you're saying is like relying it as a dream catcher per se, like, oh, make sure the demonic spirits don't come near me, that kind of thing. That's kind of like a weird gray line area, I feel like, because it's like if it's still wrong in the eyes of the Lord, then it's like probably shouldn't do it. We're all guilty of sin, though, at the same time.
Yeah, but so I mean, that doesn't mean we want to intentionally do it.
Right, because there's some people, and I'm not going to lie, there's some things that I do still where it's like, like I view it as, well, it's not as bad as I could be doing this kind of perspective.
Yeah, I think everybody has those moments.
Yeah, so and that's how I kind of view the, pumpkin carving kind of thing. It's just I don't know why.
It's just
You just looked at me and I was like, I know there's a laugh coming. But yeah, it's just in that viewpoint of things, it's like, sure, yeah, if you're doing it for fun, whatever, you do you, boo-boo. But like, if you're doing it for like, Satan is Lord, like, then it's like,
right.
yeah.
Then that's fine. But at the same time, it's like, should we ever own a dream catcher, even if we just think that it looks cool? Because even if we just think that it looks cool, it's like, what if we want to own devil horns just because they look cool?
Yeah, oh yeah, that dream catcher made of twigs and yarn is really going to get you from a demonic, presence coming in your house. If it were that easy to get rid of a demonic presence, I think the Amityville horror or anything like that would not happen to this day. No haunting would ever exist. Ghostbusters would not exist.
Okay, are haunted houses a real thing? Do you think so?
I think in the perspective of not like a ghost, as people say, I think it's more, again, of a demonic presence that makes you, because that's how these demons play games. They make, because of how everybody in their imagination and everything like that, I can believe some of it's a lot of combo with things. Like you could just like go into like my house and say it's haunted.
Yeah.
And then with your imagination, because we all have one, if you're a sane human being, then you're going to be like, oh crap, I'm going to look for like, shadows on the wall or like the light flickering or something stupid like that. But if you're also in that perspective of like in a spiritual, connection where it's like, you have faith in the Lord and somebody says it's haunted and you're actually seeing these things, it's 100%, regardless on your viewpoint, demonic. 100%. It's not your dead uncle that came back because you owe him $20 and he's haunting you, scratching walls. It's literally a demonic
coming back
presence.
for the $20, huh?
Actually, funny story. So my dad, and he swears this is true because this is when he was at a point in his life where he just did not care about Christ or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he knew like he existed, but he just didn't care and he had a lot of stuff going on. And so what happened is one night he was, I forget how old he was. I think he was probably in his 20s or something like that. And he was sleeping in bed and he was at home by himself. And all of a sudden he saw this figure appear in front of him. And it was I think he said it was his dad, Ernest, my grandfather, who I never met because he drowned, but like I know, just slight details hidden in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, he did. He actually drowned in a boating accident. And so like he was paralyzed from the waist down. So
Ernest is also the name of somebody who definitely comes back.
That's true.
That's a joke. I don't believe in ghosts.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts. No. So aside from that moving on joke, he was laying in bed. This figure appeared out of like nowhere, and he says, "Swear to God on the Bible, like he was levitated, like he was stiff."
Your dad was?
Yeah,
Do you believe him?
Here's the thing, though, because a lot of stuff. Here's the thing with when you come to that point where maybe God wants you in a different position. I don't think he's going to like lift you up in the air and be like, it's me, but like he's going to do stuff that's going to make him like more present. Like whether it's like, okay, I want money and then you get money, but then it's like, okay, he may just take it away from you because you're not learning how to either use your money wisely or you're not like using it the correct way or something.
Yeah, honoring him with the blessing.
So it's more of like I can and can't believe him because he also did a lot of hallucinogenics back then. But he was also at a point when he said that when he saw the figure of his dad, he was not on the hallucinogenics. Like he had cleaned himself up and stuff like that because that's just how it was back then. You could get any kind of drug known to man, pretty much. So he was levitated out of his bed and brought face to face with his dad. And his dad apparently spoke to him. And he said that will have some events happen in your life, and one of them is your aunt or his sister, I guess, or whatever that is, just is going to die within the next like 2 months. And the creepy part was that whatever date and time frame that entity or demonic presence had told him that this person's going to die, they actually died on the exact date and time and place. And it happened, I think, 2 or 3 times, because in that whole interaction, it told him this is what's happening. And so again, it's not just Casper the Friendly Ghost coming up to you and telling you this. It's a demonic presence, and the devil's trying to make himself known to, hey, if you don't worship me at that point, it's like a threat almost, I guess, is how I look at it, through like demonic presidents, demonic presence of like ghosts and haunted stuff, is that it's the devil leading for fear. Like, okay, I'm obviously going to make myself more well-known than Jesus, so I'm going to scare the crap out of you, and I'm going to possess you, and you're going to know that I'm real.
So it's not actually your dad seeing his dad. It's your dad encountering a demon.
A demon impersonating his dad. And his
but
dad
my question is how would the demon, per se, know when and how this person is going to die?
Well, I mean, it is the spawn of Satan to a degree. But well,
they're fallen angels.
Yeah, they're fallen angels. So I would assume with that, in hell or heaven, everybody knows the times of events and deaths and being born or whatever, what's going to happen to you in a way. They know this because they know at the end when the rapture happens too, they're going to know who's going to be on God's side, and there's going to be people that are unfortunately going to be burning in hell for all eternity. Until that.
Stefan Hansen saying it like it is.
I'm just saying. It's in reality, you know what I mean. It's like that. So it's that demonic entity coming in as, again, a familiar face or whatever, and they're all knowing. And so that's how that ended up happening. And so that's when
I think God is really the only one that's all knowing.
He is, yes. But I still feel like
but that's still freaky. If what your dad is saying is true, and of course, there's no way for me to know.
Right. I'm just taking his word on it right now. But
right, same with you. But I don't ever take him as a liar. So, but if that actually happened, that is pretty freaky.
Right. Like, I know one thing that happened to me that I can guarantee you was a demonic presence. So you remember Penn Street, that one house?
Do I ever?
Yeah, that place. So context a little bit. This house was built in like the 1800s or something like that, or 1700s. So it was old, but somewhat modified to modern day kind of structure, I guess, other than the iron octopus furnace that we had downstairs. But I was old enough to stay at home by myself one night. My baby sister, she gave my mom a paper cut in the eye or near the eye or something like that. And so I was old enough, though, to stay at home by myself. And folks, this is going to be like how old I am. And some of you may be at this age. I know you know. But MySpace was a thing.
Yes, it was.
And Facebook, I think, was just coming in.
Yeah, MySpace and Zanga were the first.
Zanga
were the first like social media.
There was another one.
That is crazy that you brought up MySpace.
Yeah, I know, dude. Like nostalgic.
Talk about scary.
Yeah. What was his name? Tom would always send you a friend request.
Yeah, Tom the creator.
This dumb guy with a clipboard or whatever it was, a whiteboard, just staring into the camera. But anyhow, what happened was I was at home and I was updating my MySpace, listening to music, because everybody, when they were a teenager back in like the early 2000s, listened to Green Day. So I was listening to Green Day or whatever, updating my stuff. And this is the creepiest part, because I was at home because everybody else left to go to the hospital to see if mom was okay. Because obviously I wasn't old enough to, for some reason, I was old enough to stay at home by myself and not watch my baby sister or my brother, who was pretty much like, he was only like 2 years younger than me. So it's like, whatever. But he wanted to go. So I was at home, and all of a sudden, what I heard, this still terrifies me.
Oh man, I gotta sleep here tonight by myself. I'm scared.
So it was upstairs. So the computer, mind you, is right by the stairs. So we had our living room, TV's right here, stairs are right like where the Arizona T is. And for those of you who can't see, it's in the center of where my microphone is. And then to the right is the computer directly next door. So I'm sitting there just doing stuff, and out of nowhere, right, I hear like heavy boot prints upstairs, like somebody, because we had one of those roofs too that you could climb up to and climb on that flat part or whatever of like the awning or whatever you call it on a house. And then all of a sudden I heard like that, and then it was just like one of those, like in a typical horror movie, you hear like a reverse scream. Like if a girl was screaming and then you reverse the audio and it was like, yeah, like that. It was like that. And then all of a sudden, right next to me, I heard a big boom, like a thud, like somebody had gotten pushed down the stairs from the very top and landed right next to me. And at that point, this was also the other part that terrified me, is that there was like we had the porch door and then we had the main door to the house. Because in order to get in the house, you had to go through the porch.
Yep, I remember.
And the main door was swinging open and closing like crazy. And then like some of the lights were like flickering in the living room where that event happened. And then I heard the boots like coming downstairs, like he was like getting ready to do something or whatever. And again, how old I am, landline phone, mind you, because cell phones I think were just coming out to be okay, but like they weren't the greatest. So we had a landline phone fully charged, and I grabbed Sam, our golden retriever. I grabbed her food dish and water that were right next door. I grabbed the landline, and my room was right next to the computer, and I locked myself in my room with Sam with the food and water. And
Sam is your dog.
Sam's the dog. And I locked myself in my room until I knew that Mom and Annika and John were all coming home, and I called them. Because my mom had a cell phone. It was like a little Motorola Razr or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I was like, Mom, you got to get home quick or send somebody over here right now because I'm scared. And she goes, well, what's wrong? And I'm like, well, I heard this happening. And she was like, I probably just your imagination, typical horror movie. Like, oh, the kid's just got a really great imagination. And then it ends up being something like terrifying. But yeah, that was, I guess you could say, my one encounter with a paranormal activity of some kind, but really it was a demonic presence, I think, trying to scare me, because you get a young teen and they're still at that point where they don't know who they are or what they want to do or believe in to some extent. And then that happened, and that was terrifying, mind you. This was before the movie Paranormal Activity came out too.
Yeah, which was a very real movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Same with the Blair Witch Project.
Right.
But yeah, that was terrifying to me. So I believe that was 100% demonic. Because to me, it felt like somebody in that house, and I think we did research on it. I think somebody at that house murdered their wife there or something like that back in like whatever time period it was, and the husband had pushed down the wife or whoever it was a girl obviously and a guy, and pushed her down the stairs, and then just I don't know after that. So it was like, holy crap, like that's terrifying. And especially it would have been different if it was a thud, because then I could be like, okay, it was my imagination.
Yeah,
but the doors unnecessarily swinging open and close, slamming with lights flickering, that's terrifying.
Was it windy out?
No. That's the thing. It was just like, I know it was at nighttime, but I think it was like maybe like 7 o'clock, somewhere around there. It wasn't like total like dark, like, oh, I got to go to bed. It's almost 8:30. That kind of thing. But that it was around that nighttime period, and it wasn't that late. And so, because I knew to be in bed by a certain time.
Yeah.
But did not sleep that night. I can tell you that much. And so that was my one encounter. I don't know if I can't remember if I had any other ones, but I know for a fact that one was the one right there that was the most terrifying. And I 100% agreed that it was demonic, because I don't think God sent his angels down to just be like, hey.
Yeah, angels don't come to cause fear.
No.
Although they are pretty weird looking when they're described in the Bible, but they always come.
Yeah, like an eyeball with like 30 wings, and it's like got like all eyeballs on each wing or something like that.
Yeah, it is weird, but they also show themselves and say, do not be afraid.
Right.
And they probably say that for a reason, because they know they look weird.
Right. But also, if I saw that thing flying around and they were like, do not fear me,
I would fear it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would fear it. I'm not going to sit there and just be like, if the chupacabra was real or Bigfoot, and be like, oh, it's like ooga booga. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I don't fear you anymore because you said a funny word in English or something stupid like that.
Yeah, but I think that there's no way it was an angel in your house.
Yeah,
it
no.
was most likely
because angels
demonic.
angels are there to protect.
Yeah.
They're there to help guide you even too. And so like how I looked at it is like, when you have, this is how I view like nightmares versus like good dreams and stuff, is every day these angels are, and it's not in a bad way, but like they are protecting you, and they're under attack by demons, and they're blocking them from trying to like cause harm to you per se. So like if you have nightmares, like those angels are trying to fend off the demons that are like trying to come at you per se. Like they're watching around you, because if anything happens in the house, like you're under God's protection at that point.
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of view it. At least
in the spiritual sense, yeah.
Yeah, in the spiritual sense. So I view it like that. I haven't had a nightmare in a minute, but I will say like it is a different experience when it's like, for me, I know that I have God's protection. Even though like, I have my own protection at home, to help me, like if I'm watching the kids or if I'm just by myself, like I have that calming sense that I didn't have before, like when that stuff was happening at Penn Street, that I'm under God's protection.
Yeah.
And so it brings a calmness. So then it's like, I don't really even need that. I feel like, sure, I'm not going to say, I'm just going to put it away in the safe real quick, and just not trust that somebody's going to break in the house. But it's more of like, I can at least sleep knowing that I'm under God's protection. And if something does happen, that I'll be at least be given a warning of some kind, like whether it's like I wake up to go pee, or I just wake up because I'm hungry, and then, oh shoot, somebody's breaking in. And then it's like, all right, cool. So that must have been God's sign and the angels like letting me know, hey, get up. Like, so that's at least how I view that kind of like the whole ghost and hauntings and stuff like that. Because there's no way that like someone from like 1684, like during the Black Plague or whatever time period that was, is still roaming in purgatory at this point.
Yeah,
and they're just messing with humans because, ooh, you have modern day technology and I'm still trapped in the 1600s where we poop in a bucket and dump it out a window. Like...
Wow.
Like an 18th century limerick or something like that.
Yeah. No, yeah. I don't think that it's a ghost from somebody who, because once you die, you die and your soul goes
wherever you decided you wanted it to go, whether it's heaven or hell at that point. There is no in between.
Yeah. There's not like, they're not roaming this earth to haunt us. It's demonic activity for sure.
Exactly.
Because the devil does cause fear, which is scary. Those stories were scary, Stefan. You did not warn me. But there's going to be scary stories today.
There are, and I do know a few. So, and a couple conspiracy theories as well.
Oh, what a transition to what we're...
What convenient timing.
What convenient timing. Speaking... Well, you did mention it, though, Bigfoot. What do you think? I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit in another episode way back.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 episodes ago of you.
Yeah.
So like we have one episode that you were on, but then the one before that we dived a little bit into Bigfoot. Like, what do you think Bigfoot is?
I think he's one of the scariest monsters known to man next to Bigfoot, first of all. Well, I had to throw that in there. I had to.
Yeah, I know. I know.
See, okay, so here's my opinion about Bigfoot. All right. I don't think he's just some hairy guy who forgot to get a haircut at Sports Clips and was like, oh man, I'm just going to live in the woods.
Yeah, I think he is.
His real name is Hugo. He's
Hugo.
just misunderstood. No, I think because they're still discovering creatures, and hear me out before you're just like, oh, well, they're still going to discover Bigfoot. But so they're still discovering creatures in the ocean, and they're still discovering creatures on land.
I was going to say, so Bigfoot's in the ocean. But you finished.
Yeah, he's swimming with the fishes. He's swimming with the megalodon. And that's another one, too, is like people still believe that thing still exists. I think the megalodon could still exist.
Yeah, well,
for
we
sure.
haven't even discovered. What is it? Is it 70% of the ocean or is it?
We've only, I think, been through 30% of the ocean. So there's still a whole 70% we do not know anything about.
Yeah.
Like James Cameron's been the only one to go to, so far, what we know of is the deepest part of the ocean.
Which is where the Titanic is?
No, Titanic is actually.
But he's been down there too, right?
Yeah, he made the movie Titanic.
Yeah.
He did actual footage recordings of the shipwreck and other stuff like that.
So what is the deepest part that we know of?
The Mariana
ocean?
Trench.
Oh, it's a Nemo.
That one's yeah, that one. So Titanic is 2.5 miles under the sea. And the Mariana Trench, I believe, I think it's like 6+ miles or 10+ miles. It's deep. There's a shipwreck I know. I think it's a Japanese or German Navy vessel, I believe. And that thing is like way down in the depths of the ocean. I forget how deep it is, but it is way, 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 way deeper than any shipwreck ever discovered. Like, it's got a world record of how deep it is. And so that technically is like the deepest part of the ocean, but I think it's not as deep as the Mariana Trench. But the Mariana Trench just goes on forever. And James Cameron, I think, has been the only one so far to be able to make a submarine that doesn't implode with duct tape that can go down there and survive that pressure.
I know the reference, the Titan.
The Titan. Did you know too? Side note, they showed unreleased footage of how they found it. It was only like, I think, a few hundred feet away from the actual Titanic wreck, and the implosion didn't crunch them like they thought. It actually sandwiched them.
That's just as bad.
I know it is. It's just as bad because there's the dome of titanium, and then there's the other dome of titanium over here, and then there's the carbon fiber hull. Here's the dumbest part too. Other than the fact it was made with a Logitech controller to control this thing down there, it was sealed with glue.
Hey.
Glue.
Titanic trip on a budget, bro. You gotta.
Yeah, for billionaires. Like, you would think if you're paying the whole trip sheet literally said you cannot sue us if you die. Literally put that in the contract. Like, you can't come after us. Like, you may die on this trip. But yet 5 billionaires were stupid enough to go down in this thing, and then done. I feel bad for the kid. Don't get me wrong. I feel bad. The CEO knew exactly.
But you don't feel bad for the guys.
Here's the thing. They were rich and snooty. And
well, do you know that they were snooty?
Yes. They were rich and snooty. They were overzealous about their whole, I have money. And the kid didn't even want to go. The kid that died didn't even want to go. But his dad insisted because it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And it would be a nice father-son bonding. And yeah, they bonded with the submarine, all right.
Once in a lifetime, literally.
Yeah, literally. YOLO. Yeah, that old catchphrase. But yeah, they showed unreleased footage from whoever took it when they went down there to explore the wreck. And the tail fin was like perfectly intact. But obviously that wasn't pressurized. And that's kind of like how when the Titanic sank, like, so the bow was filled with water. Water can't pressurize really if it's filled with water. So that's why the bow is in such good condition, and the stern imploded. So it basically did what the submarine did, but like 10 times worse because it's a ship versus a submarine. And so that's why it's almost dangerous to go down near the stern section because everything is falling apart. I'll shut up about Titanic for a second.
Anyway, I was going to say,
My heart will go on.
Just because somebody is snooty doesn't mean that they're more deserving of us to die. And I need you to repent on air.
No, I'm not saying that.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, if you're gonna be rich and snooty, like, and then something happens, like that's on you, bud. Like that's not on me.
Yeah, there's a lot better options that they could have taken.
Exactly.
However, we did get
like
sidetracked with the ocean, which is great. There's the PS5 controller joke again.
Once again,
here it is.
So Bigfoot.
It will not. Yes, it will not be the last time we heard the PS5 controller joke. It will come back up later.
Or Titanic.
I
at least have one conspiracy theory on that.
Yes, but right now we're on the Bigfoot, who's not in the ocean.
He's not. He's on dry land.
He's on dry land.
Playing Xbox.
With a PS5 controller. But Bigfoot, you were also saying that there's parts of land that you think that we haven't discovered.
Yeah, so they've actually there was one episode that on a National Geographic or like an Animal Planet kind of show where they discovered a bird that they thought had gone. It's not the dodo or anything like that, or like the blue bird from like Rio, that one Pixar Disney movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, because that thing's extinct apparently now. But there's some kind of bird that they thought was extinct. And then all of a sudden it's like they're all in the trees. Like there's thousands upon thousands of them. And it's like, okay, so again, this is where I'm kind of in a gray line area about Bigfoot existing. I don't think like a humanoid creature is just chilling in the middle of the woods, regardless if he's got like the same brain capacity as like an ape that you see at the zoo.
Yeah.
Or even as a more complex mind like me and you, where we have like, we're lingual, I think that's the word. Like we can speak words. Like we have more linguality. I don't know why that's
speak languages.
Yes, we can speak languages. Bigfoot's probably smarter than me at this point because he can probably come up with better words for it. But yeah, I think there might be something that maybe resembles it a bit, like maybe another species of like ape
in America.
Yeah, I think so. I think you never know.
I don't want to be hiking out in the woods and knowing there's apes out there.
Well, just think of it as like Tarzan moment, all right? Like you're going to be raised by this ape. And then
Can you imagine being kidnapped by Bigfoot and then him and his
like just adopting you and like raising you in the jungle as one of his own or something like
that?
That'd be, dude, it would be terrifying, but it's also like hilarious to think about too. Cuz, it's Bigfoot,
Right, it is funny to think about, but where were we? Yeah, apes in America.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of creatures in America that are like distinctive, like per state or per country, like the state bird or the state bear or whatever. Or like there's just certain animals that like live in a particular part of the world. Like giraffes are like, as far as I know, just in Africa, I think. I don't think they're like in Michigan, just naturally chilling, same with elephants. Like I know there's like India and everything like else that they have that stuff. But again, you don't see anything like that. So there might be something again exclusive to us in the United States and whatever. Cause I mean, I know like up north, they're like, oh, the Yeti, but that's basically like a white Bigfoot.
Yeah. Not even basically, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's like where, okay, again, I think in a way, like maybe, okay, here's the other dumb thing. So like how there's always like experiments with like monkeys and stuff in labs. Like we all know that, like they're testing product or they're testing like medicine. If, let's just say hypothetically, there was a monkey or an orangutan or something like that, or a silverback gorilla that just was being tested on for eyeliner. or something like that, or just some kind of cure. Let's just relate it to modern day, like a cure for COVID or something like that, or a cure for cancer, something stupid.
Yeah.
And it gets injected with it and it starts mutating. Like, I think something like that is a possibility, because they do weird stuff with stem cells too. Like, you can like shave a rat down to like its bare naked body, and you can grow like a human ear, and then you just cut it off, and then the skin will, yeah, it's weird. And then you just like, it's for like with people like from war, like that come home.
Yeah, that need an ear.
Yeah, like that I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool, because then they can at least live somewhat of a normal life at that point. Like, they don't have to have a fake plastic ear anymore. They can actually like try to fix their hearing and have a normal ear, like me and you know, kind of thing. And they can have that back.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe there's something like that, where it's like an experiment gone wrong kind of thing, where it's like, it's just, again, testing on different chemicals, fluids, whatever. And then it just somehow escaped, because I can tell you with 100% certainty that they can't just contain everything all in one thing. You know, and like,
that's true. Yeah.
So something or someone done messed up and it got out. And so it's not going to be no prehistoric humanoid creature running around. It's probably just some kind of like animal that
mutated gorilla.
So yeah.
Well, that's a first for me.
Yeah.
That I've heard, because I've also heard back to this subject, the demon theory that Bigfoot could be a demon.
That I did not know. Please elaborate.
Well, when you see pictures of it and they're always blurry, and people always talk about shadows of it and seeing it. There's one story that was on YouTube of this guy who's speeding and the cop pulls him over, but then the cop is like freaking out. He's like, "Did you see that?" And the guy's like, "What? That thing that ran across the road?" And it's like,
oh, like one of those.
Yeah, one of those stories where it's like, yeah, it ran across the road and we never see
that. To get it on camera. And it's like with the crappiest quality Nokia phone from like the 90s.
So I don't know, because the story originates from somewhere.
Here's my thing.
And it's made it everywhere.
Yeah. I agree with you with the aspect too of if it were already like a real thing. And that's where it's like, because I can agree with you too on like the whole demonic presence of basically Bigfoot being a demon kind of thing.
Yeah.
We would have gotten, look at the technology today that we have. We can see pimples on people's faces of celebrities if we wanted to in clear 4K, even 8K.
What an example to use. But
continue. I know, right? I'm just, but like then Bigfoot is like on a 1990s Nokia cell phone that's barely
right. Yeah,
like that's all blurred. Like, oh my god, you see that? And then it's like they're just wiggling it around and stuff like that, and it's just like, dude.
Yeah, it's always shaky.
Yeah, it's shaky. Or they drop it. And it's like, oh man, I gotta get my phone. Oh, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they're just like, and then you see like the handprint or the footprint that looks like a human foot. No way. Frank, come here. And then it's like, look at that. That's a Bigfoot.
And then it's clearly a bear claw.
He's fishing with a fishing net.
Now that's funny. Yeah, that could be it too. It could just be a story, like a fable.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't know if you can get pictures of demons. Like, are demons?
Here's okay. So here's something on that.
But then, yeah,
I feel like you can and can't. It's both. And the thing I'm relating it to is like, have you ever seen or heard of the? I think they have actual audio and pictures of The Exorcist. Like.
No, I have not. I mean, there's the movie, but that's obviously
but they have. There's like actual audio from like the exorcism or something like that, like the real one. That's like you can hear everything, and it's like the voice is like of nothing like I've ever heard of somebody speaking. Like even with voice acting, like you'd have to do a lot of tunage of auto tune and whatever. Like Venom, like how he's like, we are Venom, like that.
Yeah.
But it's like something that's like, I don't even think anything could like replicate that. And it's in a different tongue too. Like you hear English, but then it's like a different tongue or something like that. Like it's like not even a language that anybody's been able to like translate.
Yeah.
And then there's also pictures of like what happened to the girl and everything like that was possessed. And then how the priest like threw him down the stairs or something like that because he took the demon inside him and then he just basically offed himself to get rid of the demon. So
is that like the true story of The Exorcist?
I want to say,
or is this just like one of those?
It's not a conspiracy kind of thing, but it's literally like this was like the first known like actual audio recording and pictures of an exorcism taking place like way back in the day. And they have pictures of like the girl and what she looked like before and then after. She's like skin and bone. She's got marks on her body. And she does not look human. So it's like, that's terrifying. So I think in a way I don't think you're going to catch like, you know what I mean? Like a red guy with horns or anything like that.
Right.
But you're going to catch something of a demonic presence.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's not like a shadow kind of thing. Because anybody can make a shadow. I could sit there on that lamp over in there in the corner and go like, look, a dog. You know?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh my gosh, it's a ghost dog from hell. You know?
Right.
So in a way, you can capture demonic presence in reality. But also, you're not going to catch, again, like just some demon chilling. Like, you know, like he's just there
in the woods, 7 foot tall.
Yeah, in the woods, 7 foot tall, and
he's shaped like a monkey.
Yeah, yeah, shaped like a monkey with his Xbox controller. So, yeah, that's kind of my perspective on that, at least for the whole demonic with Bigfoot being a demon, possibly, and then also, can you actually catch evidence of it? Yeah, you can.
So you think you could capture a picture?
Well, I ain't gonna go searching in a haunted house or like.
And I'm not asking you to.
No, never. I ain't gonna go to Diddy's basement and like try to find like a pentagram anytime soon and be like, oh, let me capture a demon real quick.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Nice going there out of nowhere.
I know.
But I'm just saying, do you think
probably get me with baby lotion too at that point?
Oh, here we go. Down the rabbit hole.
Down the rabbit hole. No return.
Oh, we're returning. But you think that, say like Bigfoot is 100% a demon.
Mm-hmm.
You think that we could possibly get a picture of said demon without him
I think he would
possessing somebody? Or does there have to be a possession so we can actually see like what the demon is doing to somebody?
That I don't know. That one's kind of a...
Well, you better figure it out.
Sorry, I'm trying. No, I think in a way you could get like a picture of it with like, you know, without having a possession be involved.
Yeah.
But also, again, when a demon, and again, in the case of the exorcism, takes possession of a human being, you can see that there's something not of reality today that's normal about that person. So in a way you can capture it with or without. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean they capture UFOs allegedly on camera.
Roswell or, you know, Area 51.
Yeah, and because there's a lot of speculation now with all this alien stuff, and I'm not talking about the cake.
Yeah.
the alien
cake from Mexico that they're like, we have 2 species of aliens that we caught. We're just releasing them to the public. Ooh, chocolate.
Yeah, right,
know?
Exactly.
They're actually, speaking of UFOs, so DJ, my brother's ex-wife, she and Caesar, I have the video still saved on my phone of it. This is something that's weird. I don't think, and again, it's another gray line where it's like their aliens could exist, but it's not like, you know, a green guy with big black eyes comes down and he's like, you know, I'm going to probe you.
Right.
It's a demon. And again, because it's playing with us and it's toying with us, because then at that point it's straying us farther away from God at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so DJ and Caesar, her boyfriend, were driving down the road at night. And this was like today. And this isn't no like, oh, did you get it, Frank?
Yeah.
Like that. It was crystal clear, still imaging of they were in the car driving. She zooms in with her phone. There's lights following them. Perfectly straight. And it's not like a plane is like, whizzing by like at the airport or whatever, or a helicopter's just hovering, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, because usually with helicopters, their lights are flashing. They're not solid.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a searchlight kind of thing. Like they're searching
Right.
for somebody. Same with planes. They usually have like maybe like a light that's like at the bottom of it to indicate, hey, I'm a plane. And one on top that's, hey, I'm a plane. And then they always have one that's flashing. None of these were flashing. And it was like one or two solid lights. And it was consistently keeping up with the car. It wasn't like where, again, like you have the car and it's like moving at the same speed and then it's like kind of dragging a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like perfect. And then it just went boop
And disappeared.
And so unless it was a plane that crashed, which I highly doubt because you would see an explosion or something like that.
Yeah. And you said it was close to them?
It was like, it was close.
Yeah,
Like
they would have felt the crash if it was a plane crash.
Right, exactly. And so at that point, here's my thing. And I'm not going to say who I know this is or who told me. And if you know, don't say nothing. But I know somebody that used to work for a particular building that they were, I won't say their job title either, but they also, and I know this sounds sketchy as crap, but I'm just
It's protection.
It's protection.
Yeah.
So in the event that something does happen, so if you don't see me on the show again, you know what happened.
Stefan dies of a mysterious heart attack.
Yep, with my PS5 controller.
All right, last
Yeah,
one.
that was the last one. We're gonna move on. No,
We're gonna move on.
so they were introduced to a certain room, and this room went over certain files that shown military aircraft, and the military aircraft resembled and motioned like a UFO. So UFOs, more than likely, I would say about 99% sure, are probably military-based aircraft. Because there's no way right now, like they're already making androids that can serve people and carry people of over 400 pounds with no problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't tell me we've been laying in the dark for this long and not have any kind of like technology that we're not that advanced on. Like you may be giving the public small bits like, like the iPhone, like, oh, here's the iPhone 15. We added a third camera. Here's the iPhone 16. We added a third camera, but you have a button on the side to take a picture of it instead of clicking the app. Like, cool. You showing us that. Like, yeah, that's cool. But there's no way they don't have more advanced technology at that point
Than what they're showing us.
Exactly. Because if we had that much power, the public had that much power, like teleportation or time travel, whatever they're doing.
I don't know if time travel is ever going to be possible.
Here's my only thing. I
actually have a joke about time travel, but you didn't like it.
What?
You'll get it one day.
Back to the Future. They so I think that it's just more of a military thing, and because we've been known for like Roswell and Area 51 of all the UFOs and aliens, like we just relate it to aliens at that point. Because what do you think is going to happen if the public or an enemy of the United States or whoever owns these UFOs finds out that we have more advanced aircraft that could take you out in 2 seconds with no hesitation at all? And also defies gravity because it could stop midair, go up, down, left, right, side, underwater, above.
Yeah, but that's why I think that it could be things from the spiritual realm.
It could be, yeah. Like,
and they could just be like lying about it, whoever this special interest person is that we know of.
Yeah.
And because in Ezekiel, the first chapter, actually I have it in here. I'm gonna see if I can find exactly what he's talking about. He says, wherever the spirit wanted to go, they went, and the wheels rose along with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood, and when those rose from the earth, the wheels rose along with them. For the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Over the heads of the living creatures there was the likeness of an expanse, shining like an awe-inspiring crystal spread out above their heads. And under the expanse their wings were stretched out straight, one toward one another. So he's like describing this wheel thing.
right.
And what are UFOs shaped like?
A wheel.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, like he's describing, I think he's describing like
Yeah.
one of those weird angels with like eyes everywhere.
But also, too, if you really think about it, like how that got brought up in Ezekiel, the thing is, too, is even though there's like how people think that there's no proof of God existing and all this other stuff, look at Noah's Ark in Turkey. It is there in the flesh that biblical happenings happen. It's true. Noah's Ark, the Bible is real, but yet again, people are going to still doubt.
You can also see, like, if you
boat, like that's what they're just thinking. It's from the ancient times. It's like, okay,
yeah. Also, if you look at the world, like it looks like all the continents can fit. And so when Noah's Ark happened, not only did it rain, but it also said like water gushed from the earth.
yeah. And then they also proved too, because in the Bible it shows like the dimensions of Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
And in Turkey, where it's buried in the mountain, they measured it, and it's the exact dimensions, exact material that was described in that Bible there.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that like aliens and all this like
It's spiritual.
weird stuff could be spiritual, and it's just like God is giving hint after hint,
And nobody's listening.
and people are still going to deny him. Because even back to the Noah's Ark thing, it's like, why is there random artifacts from different civilizations found all across the world?
Well, yeah.
Because there was like floating in the water, and it could have ended up anywhere.
Right. And they even too, like, so you remember how like we were kind of on a craze for a minute about like the Prince of Egypt, and you know the scene,
Yes.
and you know the scene where Moses and God, like he says like take the staff, and he splits the sea.
Yeah.
So and then after they get to a certain point, the Egyptian army is like chasing after them, and then it closes.
Yeah.
They found a long time ago relics of basically Egyptian, like how many soldiers there were and everything like that, like it said in the Bible and everything for where this all happened. So how did a whole army of Egyptian soldiers with chariots with no boat, mind you, to be found? So it's not like they were on a warship and then the boat sank and all of them drowned. This was them running through a path, and then as soon as the sea closed, that's when they all perished.
Right.
And there's proof of that in that sea. And again,
Stefan, it's pretty famous. It's the Red Sea.
it is, I know, but I'm just like, it's there.
Yeah.
Concrete evidence. And nobody's going to believe still, because they're going to be like, oh, well, that could just be, you know, Cleopatra's army or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's just how people are. So, and yeah, with the whole UFO thing, like, yeah, I think now that you mentioned that, because I never heard that verse before, but I think that could describe something of a UFO. And it's more of a biblical accuracy to like how Noah's Ark is here. Yeah, there's stuff like there's no way like our feeble minds could like comprehend
Right. That's true too.
anything like that. Like if somebody had that much of an advanced brain to comprehend making a device that could like just breaking the sound barrier 10 times, like more than just the speed of sound or the speed of light, and just go boop, 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 and stop on a dime.
Yeah, and they've also said that it can go into the water and not lose any speed either.
Yeah, like that's insane.
So it's obviously working in a dimension that's not of ours.
And here's what I also have to say too about the time travel thing. How you're like, I don't know if we'll ever get to that. So the only thing I can think of with time travel existing, and I'm not talking photographs where you can like see like a guy holding up a cell phone during like Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Like I'm talking like, so there's this thing, and I forget the area it's in the world. It's like, it starts with a P. It's like Perseus or something like that, I think it's called, or whatever. But it's a giant particle accelerator, and it's got some stuff in it that I don't know if it's supposed to be like a super weapon or something like that, but it's
got some stuff.
I'm not a scientist. I'm not Dr. Doofenshmirtz, like Perry the Platypus, like that. Like, but it's a particle accelerator, and they said something like if it goes off, like something big will happen, like time will stop or something stupid.
And this is on the Earth?
Yeah, this is on the Earth. It's underneath the city. It's a real thing. And
it's something that humans created.
Yep.
Like an experiment thing.
Yeah. But again, okay. I believe that there probably is I think at this point, it's like with more knowledge like that, like if you really think like humans can like just have that much brain power without kind of some spiritual influence, then that's not human at all. That's like more of a demonic like kind of thing. Unless like, again, you can kind of use it in the aspect of like, if you're given like brilliance, like it depends, like it's like a whole like villain arc kind of thing or a hero arc. Like you're either going to use it for good or you're going to use it for bad. And, you know, that's what God wants us to do is like, that's why he has that Bible for teachings of like how to spread the word of God, how to treat your neighbor, like yourself, you know? And then, so like, if somebody's making this particle accelerator, they could be, you know, one guy could be like, well, we could use it for endless power. And then that way everybody will have free electricity, whatever. But then this other guy's like, well, I want to time travel and change events to where, you know, like JFK never got assassinated, or like, I don't know, like the Great Depression never happened. And then you can alter timelines and stuff like that to where certain events happen. So
you think that we could get to time travel where we change timelines, not where we go back in time with like a machine gun to like the Roman times.
Like Terminator, like that. No, I think if anything, it would be where, if anything, time travel is definitely going to be used for bad. 100%. It's not going to be, because who's going to go back and like, in time and be like, don't do that. Like in World War II, like, okay, we're going to stop. And I don't know if his name can really be shared on the podcast, but I'm not going to say it.
Just say Adolf.
Adolf. Yeah.
We know the last name.
We know the last name. So Adolf, and you're just going to either assassinate him right away before World War II even starts. I don't think anybody's going to do that at that point, because that would definitely alter the timeline for anything.
Yeah. It's like all the bad things that happen in the world have brought everything to where it is.
Right. And so if it's like, what do they call it too? The butterfly effect. If like you kill a butterfly in the past, then it affects the future. Like that kind of thing. So if you do something stupid in the past, and like if somebody were to go back and try to be like, well, I grew up poor, but now that I know time travel, I can change my past and make myself filthy rich. You know, if I give him like Back to the Future, like there's an like I think it's Back to the Future 2, where Marty goes into the future, or he goes in the past, and then there's the almanac, and then it stumbles upon Biff, and so Biff uses that because it's all the cheats of like gambling to like win money, so he becomes successful. Like, oh, the Bears are going to win the season, so bet $50,000, and then he just keeps winning because it's from the future. Yeah. So then he goes to the future, tries to get the almanac, and he sees that Biff is basically taken over. So it's like, yeah, you could do that, but then that changes everybody else's timeline too, because maybe you weren't meant to be rich. It's just like kind of how like God has a plan for everybody. Like I'm not swimming in a river of gold.
That's what
you know what I mean? I'm not Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, that's why I don't think that time travel could ever be accomplished, because we can't change what God has already ordained to happen.
Yeah, he's already the all-powerful. So even if it were possible to where you could go back in time to do that, he's still in control.
Right.
That's just how it is. But I do believe at some point we could probably make time travel to an extent.
But then again, you could also make the argument that he has time travel ordained in his plan too. And he already knows what everybody's going to do with that. So that's a pretty crazy thought.
But it is too. And
thought.
And again, though, he's got a plan for everything.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Eventually, the rapture is going to happen, regardless if people want it to happen or they don't want to talk about it or whatever. So even if time travel, even if we get the Jetsons future, where we have flying cars finally, like we were supposed to have 2 years ago. Because I think the Jetsons took place in like 2021 or something stupid like that. I don't know.
That's crazy that those cartoons were based off in the future, and here we are.
Right. And so, yeah, here we are. It's 20, like, again, relating it back to the Future is like they made the DeLorean with the Mr. Fusion where, oh, we don't use gasoline anymore, Marty. We use recyclable fuels like garbage. And then he throws a banana peel in there and like some paper, and then it's like, the car's full. And it's like, we can go back in time now and whatever. And it's like,
if only.
Right. That's what I'm saying. How easy would it be to just like pick up a napkin and be like, oh, well, that's my gas for the next 2 months?
I might try it.
I don't think you're going to get too far, buddy. So, yeah, it's one of those things where he may have a plan for that. We don't know. Because
we don't know.
He's, again, is the all-knowing. So if he does, he's going to, I guarantee you, just let whatever happen, because again, he ultimately has a plan. And then when that day comes for the rapture, then he's gonna, again, it's like he's giving signs to the world too, even today, that he's done. He's tired of their crap.
Yeah.
So it could put an end to time travel at that point too, because who's gonna say like if he came down and like that, and then it's like, oh nope, you know what? Real quick before the whole world ends and the rapture happens, I'm just gonna travel back in time and stop that from happening. And it's somehow, if that was even possible, you know what I mean? But then, yeah, it's just stupid crap like that. But yeah, so I guess aside from, because we definitely got lost track of Bigfoot there for a second again. Do we want to talk about some other conspiracy?
Well, we were on to aliens.
Oh yeah, aliens.
We were done with Bigfoot, but yeah, aliens. We kind of touched on that. Here's a fun conspiracy.
All right.
Theory.
All right.
Do you think that this current hurricane was man-made by the government? Because the conspiracy theory is that there can be lithium or something mined in those mountains where the hurricane is hitting. Mm-hmm. And the people or some people aren't giving up their land. So
why, and then just destroy it. And then that way, when you're helping out, you can just collect that lithium.
Yeah, because
it's 100%.
When you look at how much water is there,
like,
because it's not like this hurricane isn't like, I know tropical storms are crazy, but
they shouldn't be that crazy.
It's not. Yeah, it's not right by the ocean. It's like pretty inland.
Right, and that's one thing too I was worried about, because my dad, he's down in Florida right now because he's 72 years old. He's old, so old people like the warmth.
Yeah,
but it's like, you better be careful going down there, dude. And he said like it's bad down there,
even where he's at.
Yeah, he said it's bad. Like it's bad where he's at, but it's not as bad as other parts. And it's just like, there ain't no way, because it's the same thing you can kind of look at with Hawaii, where there were pieces of property. And again, I'm going off like what I remember, but I'm more confident that this is correct. But there were pieces of land in Hawaii that somebody wanted and people weren't giving it up. So there were certain properties that were badly damaged and other ones were not touched.
From what?
From the fire.
Oh, right.
And so then that's when Oprah and The Rock decided to come in and be like, can you please help us? And it's like, you guys got billions of dollars. Don't you dare ask the United States citizens to help out at that point when you celebrities are living the best life possible.
Well, people eat that stuff up.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just like, yeah, we'll give her money. They don't think that.
Well, they got crapped on, I can tell you that much.
Well, yeah. Well, people like you and I know that, but there's a ton of people that would give that money, and there's nothing wrong with giving. Well, right? But
there is, to a degree. For a prime example, again, this hurricane. I don't know if you heard recently, but a particular party has offered $750 to those people.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that.
But yet we can send billions of dollars to Ukraine. And I'm sorry to say this, but if you got your own problems on your side of the world, deal with it. We right now, unless it's like a genocide, like World War II kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you have problems with your government and you're expecting us to come help you at that point because he took Toys R Us down, like, I'm sorry. I obviously know it's not that stupid of a problem. We do not need to be funding these people. We're not helping the American people out.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, okay, yeah, no, money can be used like for obviously something stupid.
But we have to help ourselves before we can help other people.
And we're already trillions of dollars in debt at this point. But again, it's just like the whole when COVID happened, they gave us that whole what was the type of check? A severance check or something like that, or stimulus check. Like the American people, we were for so long not sure of what was going to happen. And then
especially here in Michigan.
Right. And I'm thinking the first stimulus check of like, what was it, $1,500? Something like that. Like to every American citizen. That may have helped out a little bit. But then when it went down to like 600 and then 400, it was like, huh? And then you get to like, again, Ukraine, for example, you're sending billions, rebuilding malls, airports. We're like a third world country compared to some of these people.
Yeah, if you look at people who go to Europe and...
I don't mean to get political, but I'm like, that's where, when you mentioned money and like the hurricane and everything else, I was like, okay, I got to say something about it. Because it literally, it's something man-made. They're destroying parts because they either find something valuable or because we have our freedom of speech to a degree, they want to take that away. So they're going to say it was of natural causes as to why this happened after a debate about, well, we want this. Oh, you won't give it to us? Let's create something that will force you to give it to us.
Yeah. Do you have any idea of how they would create a big tropical storm?
I'm sure they got, again, it's the whole technology thing.
Yeah.
They can probably conjure up a tornado too. Some of these tornadoes are getting out of hands too.
There's a lot of water.
There is, but
in this current hurricane.
There is, but that is not a natural amount of water.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's a crazy amount of water.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know it rains. Dude.
I'm sorry.
Bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it's an unnatural amount of water. Just like some of these tornadoes, like too, like they've been obnoxiously huge for no reason. Like I know tornadoes can get really big and that has to do with like wind. But again, I think part of it could be the government too, because like there ain't no way that you can have like a tornado the size of Texas take like at all, period.
It could also be God's judgment on America.
There is stuff in the Bible I do know where there'll be a lot more hurricanes, earthquakes, and tornadoes and other stuff like that when it's getting closer to that time.
Right. That's what I'm hinting at too.
But I really don't think, because he already said there's not going to be another flood.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
Well, okay, this hurricane is not nearly as bad as the Noah flood.
No, it's definitely not. But what I'm getting at though is like, I don't think he would. Even if he was just upset with us I don't think he's going to make a giant hurricane come down on one area or multiple that big to prove a point. Like, he would have to do something like, again, like the flood or something like that.
You never know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You never know. He's got a plan. But I really don't think that he would allow that to happen. You know, it's one of those things too, where again, like you brought up the lithium.
Yeah. I'm just making
because it was, they discussed it. And then like a couple months later, this happened.
I don't know exactly when it happened. And this is just like stuff that I've heard. So who knows if they're actually looking for lithium up there. I'm just saying the amount of water is unnatural.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can probably do something with weather to control it in some ways.
And
I don't know exactly how or how much power they actually have in creating these storms, but there's got to be something that they're doing.
And they also could be definitely helping out the U.S. citizens down there that don't have a home anymore, but instead going to other places.
They could be helping.
Yeah, that's the saddest part.
Yeah,
not the destruction is definitely very bad.
And they're trying to prevent Elon Musk from going out there with his Starlink, which Starlink is like
that really great, like internet?
Yeah, Wi-Fi, where you can just like have it on you and be in the middle of nowhere and have Wi-Fi.
It's all about control at that point.
Yeah, so they're trying to prevent him from using that, even though it would help people, because nobody knows where anybody is down there.
Yeah.
Because there's no cell service, there's nothing.
Uh-huh.
So there's all these people missing. They don't know how to define them at this point. Are they gone? Gone forever?
That's another kind of conspiracy theory too, in a way, is like, does government or anybody really want people to be found? You know? Like DB Cooper, the guy that jumped out of that plane with like $20,000 and then he just disappeared.
I think he died.
He had to have. I mean, he's definitely dead now, if anything. But he couldn't have just like, because if they were trying to cover it up, they would have been like, he died.
There would be the point of covering it up.
Right, it would be.
No, what would be the point of covering it up?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. There'd be no point at all. There'd be none. So
mysterious guy just jumps out of an airplane. The government covers it up for no reason.
He's just missing. But really, they could have offed him. There's that.
But what would be the point?
That's a mystery to maybe start.
Well, okay.
I know the point.
Well, let's get the story of the DB Cooper, at least the summary, because we're not going to do a whole 45-minute episode on DB Cooper. But
right.
there you have a bit of information on it, correct?
A little bit, yeah. The one thing I will say is the reason why they would probably off him for no reason is cover up. Because I still believe to even this day there's a conspiracy that the Titan submarine was a cover up. Because if they knew days, because we spent a week searching for the submarine.
Yes.
They knew within a day or two that the submarine already imploded and everybody died.
Okay, do you want to talk about the Titan conspiracy or do you want to do the DB Cooper?
I want to do Titan.
Okay, we'll move on.
Because I know more about the Titan incident than I do DB Cooper. He's just some guy that went parasailing and then just freaking, died or whatever with $20,000 in his pocket.
Yeah.
So
everybody can look it up if you want. It's kind of interesting, but it has a pretty boring ending. So
yeah. And
the Titan submarine.
Yeah, so the Titan submarine, I think there was some sort of cover up with that. So, because people were just speculating how much oxygen these people had. If because the sub lost, but they lost all communication with it after it hit. I think it was the halfway point maybe, or they did reach the Titanic, but then it just cut off completely. So they were like, well, there's. They at least have 96 hours of oxygen, so we're going to keep looking as long as possible. And it made news. First of all, as much of a Titanic enthusiast as I am, nobody talks about Titanic anymore. So if they're why randomly bring up Titanic? Why bring up the Titan submarine and make it a whole thing for a week? And then after that week, they're just gone. It's not mentioned anymore. Titanic isn't mentioned anymore. The Titan sub's really not mentioned anymore until like a couple months later when they found the debris and they found human remains. And then
Was this last year that it happened?
yeah, it was already a year ago, which is
more
crazy.
than a year ago. It is crazy.
Yeah, it was I think in June. I think
Yeah,
is
because
when it
I
happened.
remember we talked about it on the old podcast a little bit when I think it was you, Andy, and I.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
was it at the old apartment?
yeah, it was at the old apartment. We talked about it. And so you already have all the footage and you have the data logs and everything like that because they were communicating with the Titan submarine for the whole descent that they were going down. And the last message that they received on their comms was, "We're all good." And then just nothing. They tried reaching out to the sub, supposedly. They got nothing. So they lost all communications. Then that's when that stirred up media. And they were like, well, the Titan submarine has 5 billionaires in it, including the CEO of Ocean Gate. And they have at least enough oxygen supply, if they made it down to the Titanic for 96 hours. And then like a day later, they heard like in simultaneous like patterns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was ultimately the sub imploding. That was the echoes from within the water.
So they knew that, right?
And they knew that.
But
Exactly.
they didn't say that.
Exactly. Because again, if you're trying to, if you knew at the point that the sub imploded, then media's over. Like, yep, they died. It's a sad, and you maybe grieve it on the news for a little bit, but you dragged it out and used millions of dollars with U.S. Navy vessels for like 5 days trying to search for this sub because they only had so much oxygen. And then when it went past that 96 hours, they were like, okay, well, at this point, we're probably going to find the submarine intact, but there's going to be corpses in it at this point because they lost all their oxygen.
Yeah.
So
what do you think the media was trying to cover up with this story?
That's the only thing I don't know is it could be literally anything. It could be like, and again, relating it back to Titanic, but Robert Ballard, the guy who discovered the wreck in 1985, he was originally, because now it's declassified now, because it was a classified thing. He couldn't talk about it, but now it's declassified. He was searching for I think it was a Russian submarine that had nukes or something in it. And they were trying to find it and extract it so they could, obviously it's got nukes in it or something like that.
Yeah.
So he used the cover up of searching for Titanic so nobody would find that suspicious. We're going to use the cover up for at least 5 days to search for this submarine with 5 billionaires in it, even though we know after day 1 or 2, whenever it was, that it's sandwiched and killed everybody.
So he was trying to search for this sub during this time?
No. This was, so the submarine obviously was last year. Robert Ballard was using the Titanic as a cover up for the Russian submarine back in 1985.
Okay, so that was back in 1985. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I'm saying in the same present day, they may have been searching for something underwater like that, like another submarine from another country or something like that, or even just something going on, I don't know, maybe in the stocks, something like that.
Yeah, there's also speculation because Bill Gates I don't remember who it was, us and our information.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who was, but they were making meat that was grown in a lab.
Yeah.
That doesn't have any
nutrition or anything like that.
Doesn't have animals in it, but it's they could make a steak. It's just weird.
It's like the what was it? It was like when SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs got that new machine with the gray goop that splat down on the conveyor belt, and there was a press and it turned it into a Krabby Patty, and they bit into it, and it was gray.
Yeah, kind of like that.
So kind of like that with the steak.
Because Bill Gates is out here telling everybody to eat less meat and be healthy with his big old gut. I don't understand it.
Yeah, he's probably eating all the real meat.
Why is he telling us how to live?
It's just like everybody else. It's Lizzo tells us to like, oh yeah, baby, you don't need to exercise. You can be your extra large self. And then it's just like, all right, cool. So like already half of America's fat anyway. So I mean, why not get the other 50% like going?
Yeah.
So you have that influence and you're well known. So there's going to be idiots out there that are going to listen to this dude. There are. Just like with some other people that like to listen to Biden or President Harris or Vice President Harris, I should say. And, you know, and there's people that listen to, I'm trying to think of like a normal celebrity, like Alan Jackson, I guess you could say, like a country singer.
Oh, Stefan.
Like, hey, I love that man. He is great. But, you know, he still like talks about God and being in his life and everything like that. So there's people that listen to him. And
yeah,
that to me is like, I would rather listen to Alan Jackson than I would Bill Gates. If Alan Jackson told me that Bill Gates is a liar, I'm going to listen to Alan Jackson before I listen to, even if it was my favorite celebrity, you know, whether it's like Keanu Reeves or Ryan Reynolds, and they were like, nope, Bill Gates is telling the truth. It's like, no, like that ain't happening. But I think that the Titan submarine was 100% a cover up. They already knew it imploded after a day or two, and then they still dragged on with millions of dollars for like whatever reason they had to pretend like they had 96 hours of air, and then after that we might find corpses, but we'll let you guys know. And then on, I think the 5th or 6th day, well, it imploded.
So with it imploding, there's no bodies.
Oh no, the pressure where Titanic is at is they go by atmospheres of pressure. So, and I think the human can withstand 3 to 4 atmospheres, I think is how it works. It's pressure, don't like scuba divers and crap,
right,
when they
yeah.
So you can only withstand so much pressure, and the Titanic is like over 250.
Oh yeah.
So you're jelly at that point. So there's no articles of clothing, there's no dental records, there's no hair follicles, there's no organs, there's nothing. You're just gel.
And it's really not worth trying to go collect that anyway. Not trying to be mean, but
no. And the thing is, too, it's the same thing that happened to the passengers on Titanic too when they were inside the ship. Like, even though they were already filled with water and the bow was filled with water, like their bodies still imploded with that pressure. So then the fish ate everything and whatever. But yeah, with that short time span of, because it happens like that.
Yeah,
it's not just like it happens slow and then you like that. Like, they didn't know that this was happening. So they died instantly, because I think it said that the human brain, it takes 120 milliseconds for the nerves to like, ow, like I burnt myself.
Yeah.
But this happened in like 0.5 milliseconds or 50. So it's like it happened before they could even realize that they were in pain.
I guess that's peaceful. Way to go.
Yeah. It's, I guess, yeah.
Besides the before, when you're freaking out, not knowing what's going to happen.
Right. Because if I was in that submarine and I saw water leaking in and I knew that we were going to die and then it happened, I'd still be probably like, that would not be peaceful.
You wouldn't even know.
No,
it would be like, whoa, the water. Yeah. And then you'd be gone. I mean, just being realistic.
Yeah. But that's where I'm at least at on that whole conspiracy of at least the Titan submarine. I don't know what exactly the government or whoever was trying to cover up, but I do believe that the Titan submarine was 100% had something going on as a cover up. Because again, nobody talked about the Titanic
I
before.
bet the Titan sub was made of demons. I'm just kidding.
Carbon fiber demons.
Carbon fiber demons.
Oh, with a lot.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't really heard of anybody wanting to go down or heard anything about the Titanic. So it's like, why was it all of a sudden this new?
The last time too that anybody had heard anything about Titanic was in like 2016, and that was the Australian billionaire who's so far still planning on building Titanic 2, which is going to be an actual cruise ship, which is built 1-to-1 scale. minus, or well, it's an addition of an extra deck with nothing but lifeboats and and so
Yeah,
Oh,
lifeboats on the extra deck.
Yeah, lifeboats on the extra deck, and it just it just happens, man. It just did, and I didn't catch it in time. But yeah, but that's the last time anybody heard of Titanic. And so then you fast forward 7 years in the future, and now all of a sudden everybody's obsessed with Titanic again, because the Titanic is one of the most well-known shipwrecks.
Yeah, but I know you want to go down there.
No, I don't. Not after that. They're also sending another submarine by the same company, I believe, Ocean Gate.
Yeah,
but they're
like
making it more safe and using, stuff from Lowe's instead of Home Depot,
Boo. No, that was a really funny joke. You should use that for stand-up.
I should, but I like sitting down too much.
Okay, so you don't want to go down there anymore. No. Yeah, I remember at one point you did.
I did, yeah.
But that's my thing is like, it's cool, and it's cool that we have the technology to go down there, but I don't understand the point, because all you're going to be doing is looking out this little like window, portal. Or maybe you have a camera on the outside to look at it, but it's really not like It's not like going and hiking a mountain where you're actually like there.
I'll put it in perspective. You obviously physically can't touch the Titanic.
Correct.
It's a boat that's underwater. But if you're really passionate about something, like, again, I'm a Titanic enthusiast. I love the ship. I love the architecture. I love everything about the interior, the design, the history, the accident, the sinking, the current up to date, which, by the way, a 15-foot section of the front railing fell off. And so it's deteriorating at a faster rate now because of the rusticles that are attached to it eating away at the iron. But seeing and knowing the history of that boat and what happened back in 1912, for me personally, if I knew that I was going to go in a submarine that was not going to implode, and I'd be able to see it, and not through a tiny little porthole about the size of like, an OK kind of symbol, but like if I were to see it like in a big glass dome per se, and this, again, modern day technology, I'm able to see everything and go down there and view it. It's like a life-changing experience. It's like when people go, because it's like a memorial. It's a grave site. It's like when you go to Ground Zero in New York now, where they have the fountain, and they have on the, I think it's steel.
But you ain't got to risk your life for that.
Yeah, I mean, for Ground Zero, you don't have to risk your life.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but let's just say in a hypothetical situation, we're so advanced now in life, I'm able to go see Titanic without a worry in the world. I can see it. It's a big glass dome. I can see everything under. It's perfectly lit up, and it's still intact.
If there was a 100% survival rate to do anything, I think anybody would do. I think anybody would do that. So yeah, if there's a 100% chance I'm going to survive going down the Titanic, nothing can go wrong. Yeah. Of course I'd do it.
Yeah. And it's just that's how I view it. It's like, I like the history and everything about it, and being able to see it in person, it's like a different life-changing, because you're excited as heck to see this thing. Mm-hmm. And then you remember that 1,500 people died on it. And it's almost like then you pay homage to it. And again, I understand it's not the same thing compared to going to Ground Zero for 9/11 and like just being by the pool, and just those are the voices of the people who, I guess that's how they pay homage, is like the water fountain or the water fall is like the voices of the victims.
Yeah.
So that way we never forget. But it's a different life-changing experience for the fact of it's just, I don't know, it's just something you're passionate about. You really like it and you're going to enjoy it. Even if you go to the Appalachian Mountains or you go to McDonald's next door and it's like, oh, wow, this McDonald's. And then you just a little single tear drops, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's
like,
what I think of McDonald's.
but that's how I would view seeing the Titanic. Is it's a life-changing experience that I would love to be able to go to see again with 100% certainty that I would not die or be sandwiched in the submarine.
Yeah, Stefan, I think that's everybody.
Yeah. And then I don't know, is there another conspiracy theory you want to talk about, or am I allowed to talk about my other one, which is another Titanic one? But I figured before we go on to Titanic again, or if we just want to get it done and over
Well,
with.
since we're on Titanic, we might as well stay on it. What do you mean the other Titanic one?
Oh, so this one, I'm pretty sure everybody has heard this one at this point. So the theory, or conspiracy theory of the Titanic was the Titanic did not actually sink. It was the sister ship, the Olympic, that went down, and it was for insurance. So White Star Line, I think that was the name of the company that owned the ship.
Yeah.
Or the three sister ships, the Britannic, the Titanic, and the Olympic. And I think there was something going on where they were like low on money or something like that. There's a bunch of theories along with this theory.
White Star Liner?
Yeah, White Star Line, yeah.
White Star Line.
So there's a bunch of theories within the theory. So like the one theory is they were like low on money, and so they knew that they were going to get a huge payout if something happened to one of their boats. So why not purposely sink a ship? But then the other theory behind it is they had a bunch of competitors for, I think it was JP Morgan, the guy that owns Chase Bank today, or well, who's known for Chase Bank today.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of competitors that were set sailing on the Titanic. And why not send, your competitors on a doomed vessel? And before like that all happened. So the reason why
so the competitors, like big old up high rich people, were on the supposedly
like,
the Olympic that sank.
Yeah, like I think his name was Jacob Astor or something like that, was one of the passengers. And then the guy who made I'm trying to think of his real name, but he's actually the co-founder, him and his wife, of Macy's that we know today.
Macy's was around back then.
Well, I think it wasn't as big, but yeah, it was a store where you could exchange clothing and all that other stuff.
The Titanic and or Olympic sank in 1912, 1914,
1912.
1912.
Yeah, and so, but before that though, so what happened ultimately with how they knew the ship was going to be doomed from the beginning? There were two things. Number one, the Olympic, the Olympic had a fire in the boiler room. And what happens with heat and iron is it becomes more brittle. Same thing with like really icy cold water, is the metal becomes brittle. And so it's more flexible to where even if you threw a pebble at it, it could create a dent or a little hole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they knew that Titanic was ready and newer. And again, with this insurance that White Star Line wanted for a huge payout, was they knew that the Olympic was badly damaged. And so it would be cheaper to use a used boat, essentially for setting sail, than it would be to use the new boat. And that was probably more reinforced with better rivets or anything like that to hold the iron in. So what they did is they painted over where it said Olympic with Titanic for the name.
Mm-hmm.
And then they switched the Titanic with they switched the Olympic then with Titanic at that point. So switched two ships. And then the boiler, I believed the fire was on the port side, which is the left, the sailor term. So you got bow, stern, which is front, back, and you got port and starboard. So starboard is right, port is left. And it was on I believe the starboard side, actually. Yeah, it was the starboard side. So instead of the instead of the boat traditionally facing the starboard side for loading up passengers, they switched it. So it was actually they were loading passengers on the left side of the boat because they wanted to cover up the fire burn that was on the side of the boat, which ultimately, again, doomed the ship because the metal was so brittle from that fire. And then also with the icy waters of the North Atlantic at that night on 1912, that when the iceberg hit, it just created a 300-foot gash on the side of the bow. And then that's how it sank.
Now, how do they allegedly find out that this is actually the Olympic?
There's supposedly images online that I've even seen. But again, with today's technology, I don't know if they could be altered with Photoshop and made really good.
Oh, well, they most certainly can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make anything look realistic, especially with AI too now.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. And so there was some photos of the bow section because that has the most legible handwriting of where they wrote Titanic. And the paint is still somewhat there, but not as much anymore. But you can see in some of these pictures from earlier years when they went down for expeditions that they had where you could see an O and a Y. And obviously Titanic does not have an O or Y in it.
Correct.
And same thing with the stern, because on the back of the stern, at least where it's legible, they have Titanic Liverpool on the back. And you can see an O and a Y and an L. And that's pretty much where that's at. So it's like, okay, this is seeming to be a little bit more of towards you switch the boats because insurance. And then also, again, with the whole JP Morgan, where there's certain competitors that, oh yeah, come on our ship. It's all good. And then they ended up, killing 1,500 people in the process.
Yeah.
And John Jacob Astor, that's what his name was, John Jacob Astor. And again, I don't know if he's the one that died or if he's the inventor. Oh no, Bruce Ismay is the one who helped with the commercial side, I guess, or the idea of Titanic. So John Jacob Astor, I believe he died on the boat, but he was one of the competitors of JP Morgan. And JP Morgan conveniently, if I'm remembering this correctly, canceled his ticket last second. So if you already know that the boat is doomed and you're sending your competitors on the ship of dreams, there you go. No more competition.
Or it all adds up.
Yep, exactly. And then I forget the other conspiracy theory too. It's nothing like they switched or whatever, but there's some other conspiracy about Titanic where that's what it was. It wasn't an iceberg that sank it. It was like a submarine. But yeah, I don't think submarines were invented back then in 1912.
If they weren't, it was getting close because submarines were in World War I.
Yeah. So they were getting close. But even at that nighttime, if a submarine was under the water and shot at the Titanic, I don't think it would have survived like long, especially under like how cold it was, because it was 28 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah. And that's cold.
Yeah.
We don't even know for sure what kind of technology people have had for however long.
Exactly. So yeah, because back then they could have had stuff that we probably not like what we have today, like an iPhone, but they probably had something that was like close to where they could have done something to the boat that made it purposely steer towards an iceberg.
Yeah, like the captain has no control or whatever. Yeah,
right.
Or something like that. Yeah, I bet
and plus too, it's like you're basing your turning and your whole mechanisms on steam because it was all cold power back then. Because that steam liners were like the big thing back then. Because you were done with sailboats and stuff like that as your modern day cruise ship, and now you're on to steam powered.
Yeah,
revolutionary at the time. So, and fun fact, Titanic only had 3 working funnels. The 4th one was just there for decoration. It was there just to vent out the smoke and other stuff from like the smoking rooms and stuff on board in the kitchen. Yeah. And also too, it was there mainly too to make it look more powerful, because most steamboats only had 3. And so they wanted their ships to look bigger and more muscular, tougher. So why not add a 4th smokestack?
Yeah, why not? Why not add a 5th one?
Yeah.
Or a 6th?
Imagine it's just like a 3,000-foot ship with like 12 smokestacks.
Stefan, 3,000-foot ship. How far long was Titanic? You don't even know.
I don't know. As much of a Titanic enthusiast, I know it was 3 football fields long. It was over 3 football fields long. However
So
long
about 900 plus feet. That's a big boat.
Yeah, it is. But the icon of the sea is really huge too. Hold on. Titanic length.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
883 feet. That's how long it was.
So almost 3 football fields.
Yeah. Icon of
Just
the
shy.
sea's length. That one, okay. So that one's 1,196. So almost 1,200 feet. And that's the biggest ship right now on the seas, made by man. So that thing can fit over.
Is there any ships on the sea that aren't made by man?
UFO ships.
Yeah, I'm sure. They probably exist.
Oh, you almost caught me off with that one. I was like, oh, crap. I don't have anything for this. All right. So what is your conspiracy that you want to talk about?
The moon landing.
Ooh, tell us more. The viewers would love to know.
Well, I lean more towards on the side that the moon landing was not real.
And why do you think that? Dramatic pause.
Because we've only been there one time.
Yep.
And all of the footage looks like it could be faked. There's no wind on the moon. Why is the flag waving?
That's true.
But it's not even really the footage. Like, I don't know. You could easily fake any footage. But the biggest thing is, why did we only go there once? We've never gone back. And now we have a space station where the astronauts are stuck in there. I think they may have gotten out now.
I think they got out now. Yeah.
But they were stuck up there for however long.
Mm-hmm.
And they could only bring like food and stuff up to them. And we can't go to the moon again?
Right.
Like, that's how bad our technology is that astronauts are getting stuck in space stations. So it seems like our technology has gotten worse. And it seems like it was only done to scare the Russians during the Cold War.
I can agree with that. Yeah, because it was all about power and who got to what first.
Yes, exactly.
And so, yeah, if America got on the moon first, then, oh, shoot, now what you going to do, Russia? You know what I mean?
Right. If you're in a Cold War with people threatening each other.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden one of you is able to go to the moon, it's like, man, if they have that technology, well, what else do they have?
Well, it's even the same thing, too, with like, so how you're saying like fake footage and stuff. So I think it was when they were testing the first nuclear bomb, or I think it might have been during the Cold War or something like that. They have footage of like the nuke going off. This is the funny part. You can tell this is a huge conspiracy theory too, because again, I think it ties in with the whole moon landing and the Cold War.
It better. So you keep getting off topic.
No, I'm sorry. It triggers something in my head where it's like, okay,
it's all funny. So
the bomb goes off.
Yeah,
and you see a house like. So for one, when a nuke goes off, you cannot record that unless you are miles upon miles away, first of all. Second of all, if you even think you're going to get close to that without any kind of radiation or death, you're not. You're going to die or get severe radiation poisoning to the point of death. So either way, you're dead.
Yeah.
They have in the footage somebody that's really close to a house. Now, sounds normal. So the nuke's going off. The house is right there. Like you could like look up and there's the house right there in front of you. The nuke blasts away at the house. But before You see the nuke demolish the house. Randomly, a car just kind of into existence, like in the garage. Like the garage door was closed, and then all of a sudden,
The car disappears?
no, the car is just in existence. Like it was not there before. The garage door was closed or whatever, and then it's just the car's there right before the nuke goes off, and then it demolishes the house because it's showing the destruction of a nuke. The film would not be able to survive a nuclear blast, for one. Obviously, the person would not be that's filming it would not be able to.
Right.
And then they had like other pieces of like stuff that looked like trees and stuff like that that looked fake. But the house was the most convincing one to be like, this is fake. Like 100%, because no one would be able to get that close to a nuclear blast and live to be able to record it. So then they showed that off to, I believe it was the Russians during the Cold War. And they're like, America's got like bombs, dude. Like,
So you're saying the car, I got a little confused with the car.
so
the car is there.
pretend this is the house.
Yes.
Story time, children. Show and tell. So this is the house.
Yeah, for audio listeners, he's showing us an Arizona can with
with a nappy kid.
with a microfiber glasses cleaner
Yeah.
cloth.
So the bomb's going off, and right before it touches, before you see like the impact of the destruction of the house,
Yeah.
there's no car there, right?
Yeah.
This is the car. It just appears out of nowhere.
Before the bomb hits.
Before the bomb hits it. Like the bomb is like right here within inches from the house.
Yeah.
No car is in sight. And then right as it makes contact with the house, you just see a car randomly appear.
And then once the impact happens, the car is gone.
Yeah.
Quote unquote gone.
Quote unquote gone. So that's where I'm thinking, like, yeah, they probably faked it because, again, it was during the Cold War. So what makes it more
how
sense?
could they mess that up with that such bad editing?
Well, back then, you can't do like what you can now, where you can make like AI look like something's actually on fire. Like you were very limited on technology back then. So basically anything on TV, it's kind of like the Twilight Zone, you know, where they like kind of make stories like where it seems like legit and then it's like, but it's not. It's in the Twilight Zone. Like if I saw that in the
I'm saying like, why couldn't they have the car sitting there before the blast hits the house and then just edit it out? Why do they like have the blast coming in? There's no car. It just like appears for a second and then disappears.
So to the naked eye, especially how you couldn't just rewind stuff back then either.
Yeah.
To the naked eye, you're just gonna see a nuke go off and it's just gonna demolish the house.
Yeah.
And nobody is perfect when it comes to camera. I don't know if choreography is the word for it, but like camera control for motion pictures. So, okay, rewinding back.
Choreography is for dancing. I don't know what the correct
Yeah.
term is that you're looking for, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so like the placement of things in a movie. So
Yeah.
and again, rewinding back to as an example, in James Cameron's Titanic, there's a scene, and they had a lot of movie mistakes and stuff like that in there that you wouldn't catch because everything's happening so quick.
Uh-huh.
But there's a scene where it's when Jack is entering, he's in the tuxedo, like he's going down to the dining hall because he just saved Rose from falling off the stern of the boat. And you can see the camera guy in the reflection of the glass. And it's like, okay, we're back in 1912, and you can see a reflection of a modern day guy with a camera, jeans, Levi's, and like Nikes.
Okay, so your point is mistakes happen.
Mistakes happen. And so with that, they were probably like, oh crap, Phil, we got to put a car right there. And then just they put a car right there.
Yeah.
And so if you were a Russian dude and you saw that and you were like, oh man, the United States isn't like kidding around. Like they're literally like powerful. Same thing with the moon landing. You know, they're not going to know what gravity's like at that point. If they were if the Russians were just getting ready to land on the moon or get ready to go up to the moon, but we somehow beat them to it, they're not going to know that there's not wind or there's not zero gravity at that point. So they're like, holy crap. They did what we were just about to do or couldn't do right now. So yeah, I can now see more of your understanding where it's like there ain't no way that moon landing was real at that point.
Yeah, because I just don't. I don't understand why we haven't gone back. Because you think that would be
More expeditions and stuff.
more
and
expeditions,
research.
and it'd be amazing to go up there, but we just haven't done it again. We can't figure out the technology.
Exactly.
And don't even talk about spending money.
Right. Like, yeah, there's plenty of people that like there's money laying around. Like you can do it. And NASA's still doing stuff to this day, even though they're not as like, I guess, big compared to what they used to be. Like if you heard like a space shuttle was going to Taco Bell, you would hear about it. But nowadays,
space station going to Taco Bell.
Yeah. But like nowadays, it's like you rarely hear anything, if at all, about NASA anymore. So it's like, yeah, you have billions upon billions of dollars because it's all in the United States research facility that you're going to be exploring planetary like objects and expeditions that you're going to go on. You have the money and resources to do it, and you're telling me you're just done? No, you're not done. Something's up, and I think they are secretly in a way. They're just not. So here's the thing, too, is even with that conspiracy theory, is if people find out, like, NASA's, like, back doing stuff, you know, there's ways of, like, taking people out from it not getting exploited to media.
Oh yeah, believe me, I know.
Right. So it's like you would think like maybe we are visiting the moon. I believe we still are. They're just saying we're not because they're like, oh, well, I guess we're done with space lab research. And then they might know something that we don't know. So because they don't want to cause like a worldwide panic or something stupid like that, you know, whatever. And then some guy on his iPhone 16 is recording a space shuttle launching. And then it's like, okay, well, we don't want you to see that, so we're just gonna take you out. So there's ways and stuff of making sure people keep quiet, whether it's being threatened with death or money or whatever. Because the government did the same thing with the guy with the water car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he made a car that he could drive from New York to California on like what, one tank, or he could drive both ways back on one tank with just water vapor. And then somebody found out about it. And then he mysteriously died. And then the car mysteriously was taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something that they just, because think about it too, even in that perspective, that is, if you have something that's going to last a long time where you don't need to fill it or pay for it, it's just basically free water vapor that goes back into the clouds and then rains back down. It's just a recycle of just resources.
Yeah.
We have gasoline. It's almost $4 a gallon here in Michigan. You're not in control at that point. It's all free. But as it says in there, money is the root of all evil.
Money is the root of all kinds of evil.
Yeah. So, yeah, at that point, yeah, because money, you can use it for good for sure. It's not like all evil, but yeah, it's mostly you can use it for evil. And so, yeah, why are you going to build a one-time reliable water car that all you have to do is go to your toilet and fill it with, you know, water from there and then just be able to drive wherever? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
I know.
But then you're paying $4 a gallon. So these oil companies and people are just making money off $4 a gallon or $10 a gallon, however much they're charging in different states or different countries. You know, it's all about power and money at that point. Nothing is wanting to be free or help the greater good.
Right. It all has to be
exactly
money.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's where that's where I can totally agree with like your whole thing about like, yeah, there's cover-ups for stuff. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be all powerful at that point to prove a point. Oh, we're better than you. We landed on the moon first. Nah, you were at Studio 28. That's where you were at.
Man, Studio 28, that's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, so I agree with you now because I used to kind of go both ways where it's like, oh, no, it could be real. I mean, I haven't personally been to the moon, but at the same time,
Yeah, me neither.
yeah. But at the same time, though, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't think if space is this like null place where it's like nothing, like there's no air current, there's no oxygen.
I really do wonder why God created the universe.
Probably.
Like, what are the point of all these other planets and galaxies?
Well, here's the other thing too. Here's my thing, right? So they can make a satellite telescope thing that takes pictures of like universes and galaxies trillions of light years away from our planet, but yet my home Wi-Fi doesn't work if I'm outside of my window. You can't tell me you can't make something better for us at that point. Come on. That's where I'm like, at this point, like I can probably think our universe is not as big as what they're making it out to be. Because if, again, relating it back to what I just said about Wi-Fi and a satellite, how do you have that much range to go light years away into other galaxies and still get perfect 4K resolution photos of the Milky Way galaxy and all this other crap and another like Milky Way 2.0, like again, light years away, but yet my PlayStation 5 crashes when I'm trying to play Fortnite because I'm downstairs in a basement. Like something's up at that point. I don't think it's as big as they're making it out to be, and they're lying about some stuff because there's no way that they have that much of a range connection from one itty bitty planet in this giant universe to see other places like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. But it is getting late. It's already 11:15.
It's 1:15.
Unless you have anything else that's stimulating conversation, because I am about to fall asleep.
Yeah, same here too.
All right, well, then
a little bit. Well, hold on.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. The last kind of thing, I guess I would just, it's like a small conspiracy, is I would think the Bermuda Triangle in a way.
Oh man, Bermuda Triangle.
Well, like
we should save this for a full episode where I have more energy, because it'd be more fun to go into a deep dive of the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, because that
I actually do research and we can talk about one thing for the whole time. I think that'd be cool.
Because I think you could probably talk more about the moon landing at that point. Like I can talk about Titanic. I could talk about Titanic for an entire episode.
Yeah, we know. we could even do a Titanic episode, but right now I gotta go to bed.
All right, same here, folks.
All right, everybody. Yeah, thanks for listening. Don't forget to fact check everything that you heard today.
Yep, and prove us wrong or right.
Or right. And have a blessed week. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.